Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Melissa Rich from Taking Care of Your Temple podcast. And I am here today to talk about gratitude. The objective of this podcast, as always, is to help women connect with God regularly and to use His grace, His power, His authority to help them really improve their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So there are 4 ways that we do this. I mean, there are probably more than 4, but these are the ones that I've come up with. The first one is to keep our focus on God. It is so easy as we go through our lives to get distracted and chase rabbits all over the place and look at things and, see all the nice, shiny objects. But really what we want to do is keep our focus on God and keep moving forward in whatever direction He happens to be leading us. The next thing is to acknowledge that we are not enough on our own. And by that, I mean, we're not smart enough or strong enough or fast enough or whatever enough to get things done. But that's okay because God is, and He is just waiting to help us. He offers us help, and all we have to do is take it, which just is really, really nice. The next thing to remember is that it is not about perfection. It's about progress. Because so many of us as women, I think we get hung up on we didn't do it perfectly. And so all we see are the flaws, the things that we missed, and we beat ourselves up over those. Ladies, that accomplishes nothing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be aware that you make mistakes, but you don't need to dwell on them forever. The last thing is to work on consciously changing our thoughts. The messages that we give ourselves about things is so important because it really kind of establishes our mood, our outlook, our actions, everything. Those messages that you give to yourselves are really, really important. So we need to make sure that those messages are good, strong, positive ones. So I'm going to start out, as I always do on my podcast, with a quick prayer. Lord, I want to lift up the women who are listening today. I just ask, Lord, your blessings on them. I really pray that you will bless the words that you are giving me so that I can use them to help people draw closer to you. Thank you, Lord, for loving us so much. I am so grateful. Amen. So my goal is to give all of you guys who are listening some really good tools and tips to help you feel and function better. Now, occasionally on the podcast, I will have a guest. Today, I don't. Today is just me. You get me. And I'm going to talk about, again, something that can be absolutely transformational in your life, and that's gratitude. But it's not just any kind of gratitude. What we're going to be discussing is godly gratitude, what that looks like, why we should practice it, and how it can totally and completely transform our lives. So let's jump right in. In the Bible, gratitude refers to the ability to show thanks for all the things that you have and are grateful for. And that's really important because gratitude draws us closer to God. When we are grateful, it's usually because we're realizing how much God has blessed us, and we're thanking Him for that. So when we recognize His blessings, which are many, we draw closer to Him, we become aware of His presence, and really we become more aware of how He's working in our lives, because I promise you that He is. Even if you may not feel like it or may not be aware of it, He is. So also, when we have grateful hearts, we experience more joy. I don't know about you guys, but I like to be joyful. I'd rather be joyful than sad or unhappy or gloomy or grumpy. Joy is good. And what I really worked for years on teaching a lot of my clients is that we choose how we're going to feel. We do. It doesn't matter the situation. I am not saying that some of you are not in absolutely horrendous situations right now, because I know that some of you are. And if I could change that for you, I would. But I do know that we choose how we respond to those situations. We can choose to be angry and bitter and unhappy, or we can choose to surrender the situation to God, to help Him or allow Him to help us to get through the situation. When we are having hearts of gratitude, it honors God and it blesses us. And it blesses other people as well. But a lot of times gratitude does not come naturally, and it is not easy. I totally get that. Sometimes we have to work really hard at feeling thankful for where we are or for what God has given us or where He has placed us. I don't know about you, but I have been in situations that I could not wait to get out of. And being thankful for the situation, that just felt like the impossible dream. I was not going to be able to do it. However, I've known a lot of people who have been able to be positive, to be happy, to be grateful in spite of their situations. And it's because they have deliberately set out to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Doesn't always come easy. Feeling thankful and grateful at times can overlap, but they really are different things. There are some differences between them. You can express thanks without being particularly grateful. In fact, most of us have had the say thank you drilled into us. And we did it, even if we weren't particularly feeling thankful. I mean, seriously, were you really grateful for the hideous sweater that Aunt Sarah gave you for Christmas? No. You just had to say that because mom and dad were standing right there and you had to be polite. So again, gratitude and thankfulness are different. Thankfulness focuses on us. We feel pleased, relieved, happy, conscious of the benefit that we receive. That's according to Merriam-Webster. Gratefulness is showing appreciation for something that was done or received and then returning kindness in turn because we were blessed. So now we want to bless others. So we should all be feeling thankful and expressing thanks to God and gratitude for the blessings he has given us. And I am not just saying this, ladies. This is very scriptural. Did you know, I didn't until I researched this, that the word gratitude is mentioned 157 times in the Bible? The word thanks or thanksgiving appears 72 times. So this is kind of important. God wants us to get this. He wants us to be thankful. We are designed to be thankful to him. So let's look at some people in the Bible who expressed gratitude and what their lives were like. The first one is King David. Gratitude to God is a theme throughout the Psalms that David wrote, even when he was at his lowest point. Remember the times that Saul was trying to catch him, not so that he could pat him on the back and congratulate him. No, he wanted to kill him. He didn't like David. David was going to be king after him. He knew that. And so he was trying to kill David. Even during some of those lowest points, David gave thanks and expressed gratitude to God. Even when he was committing adultery with Bathsheba, he realized it. He repented. He gave thanks. That was David's pattern. He gave thanks to God on a regular basis. No wonder God called him a man after my own heart. And you know, that's something that I pray a lot, ladies. I want to be a woman after God's own heart. I mean, isn't that a great accolade? Can you imagine people saying that about us? I think that's pretty cool. Another person who expressed gratitude in the scriptures, the sinful woman in Luke 7:36 through 50. She showed up when Jesus was eating in a room full of Pharisees, and she had an alabaster jar of expensive perfume. She was weeping. She bathed his feet with her tears, literally. That's how she washed his feet. She wiped them with her hair, she kissed them, and she anointed them with the perfume that she had brought. She expressed great gratitude to Jesus, and he forgave her sins in return. I love that story. I just think that is amazing. The next one is Hannah in the book of Samuel in the Old Testament. Hannah was barren. She had been praying for a child for a long time. She was praying so much so that at one point, someone found her in the temple and thought she was drunk, and she wasn't. She was just overcome, praying to God. God heard her request, and he gave her a baby, Samuel. She responded with great thanksgiving and gratitude and acknowledged that her son was from God, to the point that she gave him to Eli, to the priest, to be raised, because she knew Samuel was a gift from God. I am grateful for my two sons. I don't know if I could have turned them over at that early age to somebody else, but Hannah did it, and it turned out amazingly well. So I totally get that at times there are so many bad, heavy, negative things going on. It can be hard to find something to be grateful about. But what I have learned is that those are the times that we most need to practice gratitude, not for God's sakes, for ours, we need to cultivate that thankful heart. And that's one of the ways that we do it, is expressing gratitude. So I do struggle with this at times. I mean, definitely, I have my moments when I'm like, I see nothing to be thankful about in this situation, Lord. I'm just saying. However, this is something that is a little bit easier for me because I'm more of an optimist. To me, the glass is pretty much always half full. If it's not half full, I know with a little work, I can get it not only half full, but all the way full. So I am, this one comes more naturally to me than maybe for some of you. It's not the case for everybody. Some of you are really good at seeing the negative things immediately. They leap to your eye. You know that they are there. So you may have to work a little harder at developing this attitude of gratitude, and that's okay. I promise you the results will be worth it. Some of you may remember the little song, Count Your Blessings. I'm really aging myself by this because I know some of you younger people are going, what song? It went something like this. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Okay, if you want to hear that entire song sung much better, just go to YouTube and Google Count Your Blessings. There are a lot of different versions there. So I'm not the best singer in the world, but that song is absolutely on point. It is easy to get overwhelmed and stressed and discouraged by our circumstances. And remember, one of the points is we keep our focus on God. We try to ignore all the stuff going on around us. When we start practicing gratitude, a lot of times we are surprised by all the good things in our lives that we had just taken for granted or hadn't really noticed or paid attention to, but they are there. So I'm going to give you some guidelines and some stories to hopefully help you develop more of an attitude of gratitude. Because really, like any other skill, developing a grateful mindset becomes much easier with practice. So it's just something that even if you're not very good at it now, if you're not comfortable with it, it feels awkward, do it anyway, because it will get easier and you will feel it more when you do. So here are some steps that I regularly use that I think could be helpful to you as well. The first thing, especially for a lot of you who do tend to have more of a negative mindset, ask God to point out the good things in your life. It's easy to focus on the bad and feel overwhelmed by it because it can just pile up. It can be bad thing on bad thing on bad thing. And that's all you see if you look around. Again, there are good things, but we have to sometimes really look for them. If you ask God to point them out, He will do that. So a lot of times, if I'm in a bad situation, I can develop tunnel vision, or that's all I see is just all these bad things. So I ask God to broaden my perspective and show me some of the good things He has blessed me with. And I promise that they are there. So a couple of years ago, it was a Friday. I was running around frantically trying to get all these things done. I knew I had a bunch of house cleaning to do the next day, laundry, gardening, all this stuff. Was not looking forward to it. I had to get it done. When you live by yourself, the good fairies are not going to come clean your house. I keep waiting for them, but they have not shown up yet. So I'm at the grocery store. I'm got groceries, getting ready to run home, walk my dogs, do all the other things on my never-ending to-do list. And the guy who was checking me out was this young, looked like early 20s guy. And we're talking, and he just happened to say, so do you have big plans for tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I've got to get my house clean, do laundry, pull some weeds, do some things like that. And obviously I was not very excited about it. He looked at me, and I will never forget his response, because he said, I would kill to have a day like that to get things done. And I thought, wow, I'll bet this kid is working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And any of these things that he needs to get done, he has to sandwich in between everything else. I felt ashamed of myself. I really did. And so I said a quick prayer for him, and I just thanked God for giving me time to get things done. Now, do I always get all my things on my to-do list done on Saturdays? No, I don't. I mean, because the to-do list never ends, but I get most of them done. And I do have time to do that. And that just really brought it home to me that that's a blessing. You have Saturdays and you have evenings that you can get things done. So it kind of changed my perspective. I really learned to thank God for my time. Another thing that you can do is shift your focus. Whatever we focus on, whatever we keep our focus on, really influences how we think, act, and feel. If we focus on the negative, we feel negative, out of control, anxious, scared, worried. So once God points out the good things in your life, because you've asked him to do that, shift your focus onto those good things. Thank him for giving them to you. Realize how blessed you are to have those in your life and keep coming back to your blessings. Some of y'all have seen them online, optical illusions. There's one that's very famous. It's called like something like the old woman, young woman, something like that. Some of you have seen it. And when you look at it, it can look like a young woman, or it can look like this old crone. And it depends on what you're focusing in on. And in the beginning, your focus can kind of keep shifting back and forth. Usually when I look at it, I see the older woman. And sometimes I see that so much that I have to really look at it to see the younger woman. I know she's there, but sometimes I have to pay attention. So again, it depends on what I am focusing on. And it makes a difference what I see, what I perceive, how things look to me. So again, shift your focus. Next, record your gratitude. That's right. I'm talking about putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and keep a record of the things that you are thankful for. Now, it's easy to be what I call generally thankful. That's just, thank you for this food. Thank you for my family. I mean, yes, those are things you should be thankful for, but they're pretty vague, general, non-specific. Making a record of things that we appreciate helps us to create specific gratitude. It kind of helps us zero in. It's another way of drawing attention to our blessings and being really appreciative of them. And they don't have to be big, major things either. They can be small things. So this morning, I was being thankful for a few things like I always try to do. And here's some things that I was thanking God for. One is the warmer weather. We've had about 2 weeks of really, really cold weather in Waco, which is not normal. One of the reasons I moved to Texas is because I don't like being cold. And yet, here it was. But it's been warmer lately. I've been very thankful. I've had less pain in my hip, which I also think is related to the warmer weather. So I was very thankful for that. I was able to walk outside this morning. When it is 20 degrees outside, I know those of you who live in Minnesota think I'm a huge wimp, and I probably am. I just can't do it, especially if it's windy and cold. It just does not happen. I do work out, but I do it inside. So this morning, I was able to go for my normal walk. Yay. I was also enjoying watching one of my little dogs run around the backyard, barking hysterically at squirrels. It's just entertaining. I enjoy it. And I don't let him do it too long because I know the neighbors probably don't appreciate it, but it's fun. When I was getting breakfast this morning and making my lunch, I opened my refrigerator and my pantry and I thought, look at all this good, healthy food I have. I am thankful for that I have that, because I know that is not the case for everybody. I'm also very thankful always for having good books to read. I'm a huge reader, ladies. I love to read. And I read now a lot on my iPad. I do still have real books, but I read a lot on my iPad because I can adjust the font size. And my eyes are so bad that it just makes it so much easier. So I am just so thankful to have good books to read. I am truly blessed with amazing friends and family. God has just put amazing people into my life, and it's something that I am very thankful for. They have made me a better person. And then my last one that I was thinking of is having an awesome church to go to and be able to go in person. I'll tell you what, one of the things that COVID showed me is that it is a privilege to be able to go to church in person. I'm so thankful that we had online church during those months that we couldn't go. Much better than nothing. But it is not the same. The first Sunday that they said we could go back, I was there. And I think I've been there ever since, unless I'm out of town. And I am just so thankful to be able to go, sing in choir, raise my hands, be with friends. It just means so much. And that has definitely been a blessing that I am very, very mindful of. So those are some things that I'm thankful for that I came up with in about 5 or 10 minutes. What's on your list? And we should all have a list of things that we are thankful for. Okay, so another thing that you can do to develop more of a thankful, appreciative attitude is to let people know that you appreciate them. Okay, and why? In my hypnosis practice, and also when I was doing therapy, I specialize in helping people lower anxiety. And let me tell you, since COVID, anxiety abounds. Everybody, it seems like, is dealing with increased anxiety. And I found that when I make a point to thank someone or express appreciation to them, it has a calming, uplifting attitude on them. And it really can kind of change their day for the better. And it makes me feel good too. So I'll give some examples of what I try and do. So a few weeks ago, I changed my online provider. The technician who came out to take care of all the stuff did a great job. He was very thorough. He took his time. He fixed some things that had been wrong before that really probably weren't even his job to fix, but he did. And he did an amazing job. I told him that and thanked him. And he got this really startled, surprised look on his face. And I could tell he does not get those kind of comments very often, but he was very appreciative of hearing it. Another example, I really like to eat out. And when I do, if I get good service from the waiter, I make it a point to stay afterwards, ask to speak to the manager. And I always tell them, I just want to tell them my waiter did a good job, because otherwise they get this panicky look like, oh no, what's she going to complain about? But I let the manager know, Dale or Sarah or whoever did a really good job. They were prompt. They had a great attitude. They were very helpful. They were just really an excellent waiter. And then I tell the manager, I'm telling you this because this doesn't always happen. So when I do get that kind of service, I mention it. They always thank me for that. And I've learned that sometimes those servers, if I say something like that, they get a note in their personal record. Sometimes they can get a promotion or a raise, not just because of mine, but if they get several. So it's definitely worth doing. So I make a point to do that. Also, this is what I've started doing lately. I have started telling people that I care about, that I love them. And at times, yes, it does feel a little awkward. But I've realized life is so uncertain. And if something were to happen to a friend or family member that I really cared about, and I had not recently told them that I love them, that they matter to me, I would feel really bad. So I have made a point to start doing that. And although, yes, it feels a little uncomfortable in the beginning, it also gets easier the more that you do that. And the people that I say it to appreciate it as well. So another way to develop a grateful attitude is learn to pay things forward. Whenever I think about the good things in my life, I remember the guideline, to whom much is given, much is required. That's Luke 12:48. Since God has blessed me so abundantly, the least that I can do is spread the love around. He doesn't just bless me because I'm such an amazing person. even though, of course I am, and I'm sure you are too. He blesses us because he wants us to pass blessings on to other people so that they are also blessed and encouraged and strengthened. And there's so many ways to do that. So here's some things that you can do to help pay it forward, pass the blessings along. One is pray for other people. Don't just say that you're going to do it. Make it a point to lift them up regularly. It can make a difference. And I've had people, I haven't done this yet, but I need to. Like, I've been talking with them in person or on the phone and sharing something that I'm going through. And they will say, let me pray for you. And they will do it right there on the phone or in person. I mean, just stop. We're in the foyer at church. People are walking all around us. And I don't care. They're praying. And that meant so much to me. And I thought, I need to do that more. Let them know. One of the things I will do, I'm praying for them. When I see them again, I will ask them, how is so-and-so going? Did this work out? What happened with this? And tell them, I've been praying for you. It means a lot. Be willing to be inconvenienced. This is one I still struggle with. I am great with routines. Okay. I love a good routine. Once I get one in place, I really don't like it being disrupted. However, sometimes helping other people requires you to do that. So at times, I found myself giving people a ride who really are out of my way, listening to someone and really paying attention when I really didn't have time built into my schedule to do that right then, or meeting someone for a meal and talking when I kind of wanted to stay home and relax by myself. God is more concerned about us ministering to other people than us just being comfortable. I know, I hate to tell you that. I didn't always like to hear it, but it's true. God wants us at times to be inconvenienced and to be okay with that. Another way to pay it forward is to tithe regularly. Something I'm not really proud of is that for a while I was not tithing regularly. Several years ago, I had a year or two where I just wasn't making very much money and I just felt like I couldn't afford to tithe. And let me just tell you, that is a completely wrong attitude, but I bought into it for probably a year and a half, maybe two. I don't even remember how long now. But I finally realized, and this was about a year or so ago now, I can't do that. That's wrong. God is giving me all these blessings and I need to give back. And one of the ways to do that is with my tithe. So I have made it a point to start tithing regularly. And one of the things that has come out of it is I've really developed a love for giving, for helping other people financially, other organizations. And I have a list of organizations that I give to. I give to my church regularly, but I also give to things like Mission Dignity. It is an organization that helps financially retired church workers, pastors, youth ministers, whatever. And when my dad was alive, if it had not been for Mission Dignity, he would not have had a place to live. So I kept telling myself, when I get to the point where I can give back, they're one of my organizations that I'm helping. Another one is World Vision. I have sponsored children for World Vision for the past 10, 11 years. And I also will give extra things to them. So these are organizations that I support. Find some that work for you and give back regularly. God will bless you. Not always financially. Sometimes he will, but you will be blessed when you are giving regularly. So another way to develop an attitude of gratefulness, a grateful, happy heart, is to send handwritten notes or cards expressing your appreciation. Now, when I say handwritten, it could also be like a written email, not a text. Okay, not a text. I mean, texts are nice. They're better than nothing. But a card or a note or an email is better because you can write some things out. My mom was like the world's best encourager. She did it effortlessly. She was always sending cards and emails and notes and letters to let people know how much they meant to her and to encourage them. And something I remember her always telling me was, if you are thinking something nice about someone, you need to tell them. If you keep it to yourself, it doesn't help anybody. And if you tell them, it can change their whole day. And she is completely right. So I try to make a point to do that. I have an advantage here with the whole cards thing because I'm a big crafter And one of the things that I love to craft is handmade greeting cards. That is my therapy. I have a craft room. Sunday afternoon, I am in my craft room for several hours, and usually 1 or 2 nights a week, I'm in there making cards. It just makes me happy. It's a creative outlet. And I also give card sets to people as gifts, and people love them. They're like, oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. And I've had people say, I don't think I want to send this to anybody. I just want to keep it. And I'm like, oh, it's up to you. But I love doing that. So I use those a lot. But guys, it does not have to be a fancy handmade card. You can express just as much appreciation in an email or on a sheet of notebook paper. I mean, mine are going to look better, but that's okay. It really is the thought that counts. So lots of people do not, I have encountered this before in the past. They don't know what to say. It's like, oh, yeah, I would send them a note or a letter, but I don't know what to say. It feels awkward. Okay, so here are some guidelines if you're going to do that. First one is be brief. You do not have to write a 3-volume book. 1 or 2 paragraphs is plenty. Next, be specific. I really appreciated it when you said or did fill in the blank. Okay. Next, be sincere. Let them know that it meant a lot to you. I was feeling pretty down when you said or did blah, blah, blah. And then I felt much better. It really turned my whole day around. Let them know that you appreciate it. Okay. Last way to develop a grateful heart, find 3 to 5 things to be thankful for every day. Do this at the beginning of your day and at the end. This is a really great way to bookmark your day. You start and end with gratitude. I mean, that just makes for such a better day anyway. And this is another one that can be difficult in the beginning if you're not used to it, but it gets easier with practice. I try to do this literally before I get out of bed in the morning and at night, right after I turn off my light before I go to sleep. You can say it out loud to God, or you can just think it to yourself, whatever works best for you. So the point of all of this is that even if you do not typically have an attitude of gratitude, you can teach yourself to acquire one. It involves some deliberate changes and being aware of what you're saying to yourself, but it can be done. And I truly believe that cultivating a grateful heart, ladies, is completely worth the time and effort involved. So if you typically give yourself toxic, negative messages and you have a hard time expressing or feeling gratitude, what you probably need to work on is changing some of those messages to some that are positive and helpful. So I'm going to give you some examples that you can use if this is an issue for you. And you don't have to do these exact words. I mean, make it fit you. Okay, here's one. I am aware of how God has richly blessed me, and I am truly grateful. Another one. I am so thankful for the beauty of nature all around me. God is so creative, and He is. Last one. I am aware of my blessings, and I do my best to pass the blessings along to other people. So if you tell yourself things like this several times a day, it really is a great way to reprogram your brain, your attitude, and your actions. I promise you, it will make a difference. Okay, going to go to our fun fact about Waco. I thought this was interesting. During the blizzard of 1899, obviously I missed that one, temperatures got to 10 degrees below zero, and people were ice skating on the Brazos River. During the ice apocalypse that we had in 2021, it felt that cold, especially since so many of us were without power for days. I had no power for 3 days. The temperature in my house got down to 45 degrees, and I was very concerned about my 3 little dogs. I had on layers of clothes. I looked like a bag lady. I kept covering them up. So for some of you, that probably doesn't sound that big of a deal, that cold. But y'all, this is Texas. We are not supposed to get that cold here. So yeah, it was different. Okay, that is it for today. I hope that this was helpful. So I hope all of you have a blessed day. Be thankful. And again, this is Dr. Melissa Rich with Taking Care of Your Temple.